Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. The Louisiana 4A High School Football Championship game between the Houma Terrebonne Tigers and the Monroe Neville Tigers. Presented by Sports Productions Incorporated and Coca-Cola USA. Tonight's telecast is being brought to you by the people who bring you delicious Coca-Cola. For big refreshment, Coke is it. By your neighborhood 7-Eleven store, proud sponsor of the 1984 Summer Olympics. And by Burger King, home of the flame-broiled Whopper.
There's a panoramic view of the Louisiana Superdome, home of the Louisiana Superdome Classic 3, where tonight the Terrebonne Tigers from the sugarcane fields of southwest Louisiana take on the Neville Tigers from northeast Louisiana. The road to New Orleans for Terrebonne was difficult at times, not so difficult at others. They beat Abramson, they wiped out John Arrett, and then in the last 2 minutes had a big win over Captain Shreve. For the Neville Tigers, they whipped Green Oaks of Shreveport early, then got by Barb of Lake Charles before beating West Jeff by a score of 7-0. Hi, everybody. This is Tim Brando along with Mickey Slaughter and Doug Morrow. Mickey Slaughter, who played with the Denver Broncos, coached at Louisiana Tech during the Terry Bradshaw, Kenny Lantrip, and Denny Duran era, and Doug Morrow, All-American with the LSU Tigers, and now an honorable judge in the city of Baton Rouge. Mickey, it wasn't like this when you played high school football, was it?
No, you're exactly right, Tim. There's an excitement and an enthusiasm in this magnificent facility that's indescribable. It'll be a great night for Louisiana high school athletics tonight.
Doug, it's incredible when you think that these young 15, 16, and 17-year-old guys are going to be playing before 25,000 plus in a statewide television audience.
Tim, where I played high school, we had stands on one side of the field only, much less a roof on top of it. So I know that these guys are pretty nervous about this.
A little bit on this Terrebonne team, a prohibitive underdog.
Well, they just can't match up against Neville. Coach Kelly Pugh realizes that his team has got to execute extremely well in the middle of the line. He's got to use his veer offense, and he feels that his offensive line has got to perform very well. Let's see what Coach Pugh said prior to the ball game about his team.
I think probably the key to our success, if we're going to have it, is going to lie in our offensive line. I believe that we're going to have to control the line of scrimmage. I'd say minimum of 50% of the ball game, because these kids from Neville are big. You know, they move extremely well, the kids of that size. And I think that's going to be the key to us winning, is whether or not we can handle their defensive front four.
Terrebonne runs that veer, but the trickery of the veer is not enough. They need excellent performance from Herman Eshte and Johnny Carter, their outstanding tackles, and great running from David Ray and Tyrone Walsh, their outstanding running backs who have shared 25 touchdowns this season. So it's got to be outstanding, excellent individual performance as well as finesse of the veer.
Now, the Neville Tigers are not only in the top 10 in the state, but they're ranked by USA Today as the 7th best high school team in the country. They're coached by a legend, Charlie Brown, and this Charlie Brown is no cartoon character.
No, Tim, you're exactly right. He's indeed a legend. He's been coaching at Neville for 33 years, the last 22 years as head coach. He's won almost 8 out of every 10 games that he's played. And he's done this with some very simple, basic concepts. Number one, he teaches young men how to block and tackle. And number two, he instills in these young men the will to win. Charlie Brown has been a motivator and a teacher these years. He was here last year. He's back again this year. Let's see how he views tonight's game.
The excitement, of course, was all the games that led up to it, having to make it in the by-district, the regionals, the quarterfinals, and the semifinals. But now that's all behind us, and this was what we were shooting for way back in August. Not just Neville High School, but every high school football player in the state had their eyes and their goals set toward playing in the Dome. And thank the good Lord up above, we made it.
Tim, Neville has a number of outstanding players, and you'll see a number of them tonight. They're led on offense by their fine senior quarterback, Conroy Hines. Conroy Hines is the glue that makes this team stick together. Russell Davis and Joseph Hopkins are two slashing type running backs. You'll see a lot of them tonight. They're also led defensively by two fine junior defensive ends, big fellows, and I mean big fellows. The big Oliver Lawrence on your right there, and on your left, number 75, Courtney Wallace. These are big men, strong men, and they're quick as they can be. Neville has got a real test tonight. Let's see how they come out.
All right, and when we return, we'll be back with the opening kickoff. So you stay with us after these messages. As we get underway.
Tim, all year, Neville has been tremendous on their special team play. That was an evidence of it in their kickoff coverage.
Terrebonne out of Houma with an overall record of 11-1. They were 6-1 in their district, losing only to Thibodaux. And Thibodaux's nickname is the Tigers. Split wide to the near side is Mike Pugh. Setbacks are split, and the pitch goes to David Ray. Ray is snowed under at the 28-yard line. Among others, Brett Duncan in on the tackle along with Russell Davis. Pickup of about 2. It'll be second down and 8 yards to go for Terrebonne from that point.
Tim, you're going to see Terrebonne run those halfbacks almost every play, either on the straight dive, the outside dive on the veer, which is going to be actually off tackle to the right side or the left side, or on weak side pitches. And those two men will carry the ball over and over and over again. There you see the defense they're going to be up against, undefeated in both full season record and district record.
A 3-man look now Neville gives. Trap play goes for Nata Senor. Ray was stopped in a hurry, buried quickly by Courtney Wallace and Brian Huff.
Tim, this is a look I don't think that Terrebonne has probably seen before. Neville is moving their strong side tackle over on the center, and they're stacking that linebacker right in behind him. This is a look that I know they haven't seen before, because I don't think we've seen it before insofar as Neville's concerned.
Neville's front forward wall consisting of Wallace, Huff, Marshall, and Lawrence. The defensive backs are Russell Davis and David King. Maurice Nelson is the rover. Foy, Hopkins, Southern, and McDuffie are in the perimeter for Charlie Brown's club. First pass of the ball game, and it's incomplete. Woefully short, and I'm not sure if the pass was really intended for Tyrone Walls or for Mike Pugh, who was running an out pattern about 5 yards farther downfield.
And it didn't make any difference because neither one of them was in a position to catch the ball if it had been there. Terrebonne is not a very good passing team. They've only thrown 66 times this year and completed 29 of them. And that's not a very good percentage for a Veer team. They should have a higher percentage than that. And so if Neville can keep them in that long yardage situation, the Terrebonne Tigers are going to have a tough time getting out of it.
Fourth down and 6 yards to go. Kerry Guidry, the quarterback, is also the punter. He's averaging 32 yards per punt. And back deep for the Tigers are Maurice Nelson and Joseph Hopkins. And a bad punt, but a healthy roll for Guidry. It rolls out of bounds just shy of midfield. Well, we're just underway from the Superdome. The Quad A Championship underway. And our score is 0-0.
Every 10 seconds during the past year, someone, somewhere, for some mysterious reason, switched to Burger King. Switch. Who knows why? Switch. But it's added up to millions of switchers. Maybe even
you.
This is the best time of the year. A time to be with old friends.
When only the best is enough for you.
A time for laughter and a time to enjoy.
When only the best brings the flavor through. Make it right.
Time to enjoy the good taste of America's best beer in pure, sparkling, recyclable glass bottles.
'Cause only the best comes in glass.
Brought to you by the people who make glass bottles naturally.
Back at the Superdome, the Louisiana Quad A High School Football Championship underway from the Superdome. We had 3 other games that were played today, and they had some barn burners. In Class A, a big victory for Kentwood coming from behind, 17 points down in the fourth quarter to win it 34-17 over Haynesville. Conroy Hines at quarterback, averaging about 48% completions. And that is Jerry Johnson carrying for about 3 yards into Tiger territory, the Tigers of Terrebonne, at the 46-yard line or thereabouts before C.O. Brown made the tackle. There are your other scores. Kentwood over Haynesville. That's the Class A championship. John Curtis burying Bell Chase. Those two are out of the same district down here in New Orleans. Lutcher beat Wassman from Monroe 21-7 in the AAA final. Setbacks are split behind Hines, and Russell Davis has it inside the 40 and down to the 37-yard line. Russell Davis finally stopped by Kim Kenny. Davis, 644 yards rushing on the year, and started the year as a backup fullback.
He did indeed. Darrell Henspard was the starter. He injured his knee on the 6th playing date against Ruston High School. Russell Davis took over from there and has done a tremendous job for the Neville High School Tigers.
The first down of the ball game recorded by Charlie Brown's bunch, and there's the wing T setup behind Conroy Hines. And it's a misdirection to Joseph Hopkins. Hopkins runs right behind Darren McDuffie and is down inside the 30 to the 29. The stop was finally made by Jimmy Hollingsworth.
Tim Neville has had the ability to control the ball all year. This is a simple off-tackle sweep to the right off of the buck action or the trap action by the fullback, turned into a very nice game.
And Coach, you're right. They do run power football.
They do indeed run power football.
Conroy Hines brings up a slot right. His ends are Oliver Lawrence and David King. In the slot is Hopkins. And the quick handoff is to Russell Davis, and he's met in a hurry. C.O. Brown was there, along with Herman Echte. There was some conjecture for a moment that there might have been a fumble under that pile, but not so. It will be 3rd down and a short yard to go. And a critical play here in the first quarter, Doug Morrow.
And strangely enough, Neville was in the I formation that time. Mickey, have they run the I a good bit this year, or do you think that's something they've just decided to use tonight?
They have not run the I a good bit this year. In fact, we've seen it very infrequently. That's something new for this particular game.
King is in a split to the left side of your screen, at the top of your screen. And the handoff goes to Wendell Jones. He's got the first down. He's down to the 23-yard line. Now, you're going to hear us mention a number of names. The tackle was made by Brad Culp. Let's take a look.
This is the same play that we saw a moment ago, the off-tackle sweep with both guards leading off of the fullback buck action, and he turns it into a critical first down.
Already we've seen 5 running backs in the initial series. We could see as many as 7 in the Charlie Brown system.
Tim, they've used as many as 12 in one game this year.
Russell Davis gets the call, and Johnny Carter is there to answer. We have a fumble, and Terrebonne has recovered. Here's the look.
And here you see the handoff. This is the handoff in the middle, the same kind of action they've been running, but Davis is not able to hang on to the ball. Terrebonne comes in there. The entire team hops on top of it. Looked to me like Skip Crabtree came up with it.
Crabtree, the cornerback, came up to make the recovery. And it's the 1st and 10 for Terrebonne, and we've had our first turnover. And the first key break goes to the underdog, Terrebonne High. Kerry Guidry is at quarterback. The setbacks are split, and the handoff is to Tyrone Walls. Walls averaging 6.3 yards per carry. The tackle made by Russell Davis as he picked up about 4 yards on that play. It'll be 2nd down and 6 yards to go. Walls is really an interesting story. He started out playing a defensive back position, and then he had such a great day in his opening practice, the coach said, wait a minute, this was back when he was a junior. You're going to be in my backfield. Kelly Pugh was prophetic indeed when he decided that. 2nd down, 6 yards to go. Walls gets the call again, and he's stopped up quickly by the interior alignment. Anthony Marshall and Brian Huff were there. And it's a pickup of 2, 3rd down and 3.
And already we've seen a lot of hard running backs, both for Neville and for Terrebonne. But, Tim, it's an interesting difference in philosophies. With that veer, Terrebonne is not going to pull guards very often, if ever. They're just going to give those straight dive handoffs and try to hit the seam quickly in the line of scrimmage. whereas Neville will run the power football. They'll pull the guards. They'll use a little counteraction in the backfield and try to just bowl over Terrebonne's defense.
Danny Castell is the tight end flank to the top of your screen. Guidry on the option to Walls. Look out. The 40, the 30. Good night. Tyrone Walls. We had spoken about him earlier, and he came through in prophetic fashion with a beautiful option run by Guidry.
Certainly did. He had the big play against Captain Shreve last week with just over 2 minutes to go. He made a great one-handed catch and carried it into the end zone past all the Shreve players. Here you're going to see the triple option to the right. Guidry makes the fake to the fullback, eludes 3 tacklers, and makes the pitch to Walls at the last minute. Neville had concentrated their defense on the inside, first going after the dive back, then the quarterback, and had no one out there against Walls. A defensive mix-up, but an excellent offensive play.
And the extra point by Champagne is good. And we've got a timeout on the field. Louisiana Championship football is underway, and the underdog has got the lead early, and that has the folks from the sugarcane fields happy. We'll be right back. Our score is 7-0 Terrebonne. 6 minutes and 10 seconds are left. Let's take a look at that play one more time, Mickey
This was
Slaughter.
a beautifully executed play off of the outside veer. The key to it was that Guidry avoided the first tackle, and he made the guy who was responsible for the pitch man take him. Then he pitched it to Walls, and it was so long.
The guy that nearly came up with him was Joseph Hopkins at about, well, 2 yards deep into the end zone. Terrebonne's Mike Porsche is ready to kick off. Back deep for Neville, Maurice Nelson, Joseph Hopkins, and Wendell Jones. Nice boot by Porsche, and Nelson has it as his 5. Right up the gap to the 27-yard line. And a nice stop made defensively by Bennett Court.
Maurice Nelson has been a very exciting return man all year. You see him here receiving the kickoff, taking it right back up the middle, and he's met there with a pretty doggone good tackle.
First down and 10 yards to go for the Neville Tigers from their 27-yard line. Conroy Hines is at quarterback. They say he's destined for Northeast to play his football for Pat Collins, and a nice defensive play by Jeff Williams along with Troy Babin, stopping quickly that running play. That one went nowhere.
That was the same sweep to the left side that we've seen twice already to the right. They've jammed it up pretty good. Terrebonne has jammed it up pretty good on the line of scrimmage.
And gentlemen, you never know if it's going to last, but there's a noticeable difference in this Terrebonne defense this series and the last series when Neville had the ball, and it's due to that long touchdown by Walls. Those type of things really spark these young men.
It is second down and 10. Charlie Kingery and Jerry Foy are in the game. Foy gets the call. Gets away from a couple of would-be tacklers before Johnny Carter finally made the tackle. Wendell Jones got the call rather than Foy, and he got only about 3.5, maybe 4 yards. Call it 4. Third down and 6 yards to go for Neville. And they are, right now, I believe, a bit stunned.
Well, I think they are. I don't believe they expected Terrebonne would score at all. Neville has shut out 6 people this year, ranked 7th nationally by USA, and that's a lot of fine football teams that they're ranked ahead of. So they're going to have to take a while to recover. They can go to the pass, though, and that may surprise Terrebonne.
Hopkins is split to the lower part of your screen, and Hines is going to air it out. And he's bottomed out. The first guy to get to him was Jeff Williams. He was followed closely by Carter and Redmond, the nose tackle, and it's a punt formation for Neville.
And Johnny Carter, at 6'4" and 242, but very quick, has controlled just about every offensive lineman who's tried to block in this entire season, and he's someone Neville will have to neutralize in order to make their passing game and their running game go at all.
Brian Huff is in to do the punting, averaging just around 40 yards per punt. He gets it away at about his 15. Crabtree and Babin are back deep, and Skip Crabtree has it at his 20. He went laterally, and he made a big mistake. The stop was made defensively by Davis. Desmond Davis had it. Also in on the tackle was Michael McGee. It's first down and 10 yards to go for Terrebonne as they operate just outside their patio at the 17-yard line.
Neville's defense has given up an average of about 4 points a game. They're not accustomed to having many people score on them, much less having anyone score on them right off the bat.
Now, they only average giving up 30 yards per game to their opponent. They've already had that doubled, and we're not quite through with the first quarter in the state championship game, the one that means the most. This time, the call is to David Ray, and Ray is stacked up for little or no gain. In to make the tackle defensively was Courtney Wallace. Alfonso Williams also in to polish up. Gain of about a yard. Second down and 9. There's Kelly Pugh, fine head coach of Terrebonne, who's taken this ball club really from the depths of 8 Quad A. He's only won 49 of about 122 games, but he took a program that was sagging. He finished second in that district 2 years in a row before winning it all this year, and he's gone the distance. The draw is to Ray again, and he barely gets back to the line of scrimmage, if that. Tripping him up quickly was Anthony Marshall.
Tremendous penetration by the Neville defense, led by number 63, Anthony Marshall. This is a trademark of their defense. They're not only very nice-sized young men, but they're extremely quick.
Anthony Marshall looked like he wanted to be a running back. He was in there ready to take the handoff from Kerry Guidry and didn't have very far to go had he been able to grab it.
In viewing the videotape, Doug, of the game against Captain Shreve, you'd have to say that Terrebonne is really very fortunate to be here.
Very, very.
Setbacks are out of a split situation. The handoff goes to Ray, and Ray is grabbed after about a 3-yard gain. In to make the tackle was Jerry Foy and Alfonso Williams. And it's a 4th down situation for Terrebonne, and they too will have to punt.
But Tim, you know, that's a sign of a good team. Terrebonne really has only run one good offensive play this entire game, and they got 7 points out of it. They certainly, the way that this game has gone, they have not outmanned Neville by any stretch of the imagination, but they've done the right thing at the right time, and that's how they got here with an 11-1 record.
Guidry is ready to punt. Nelson and Hopkins are back deep. They're around their 45. He muffed the snap. Good presence of mind, though. He gets it away, and it gets a nice Terrebonne roll. Once more, though, Neville with great field position. They will start from their own 48-yard line.
Despite the fact that the score is 7-0 in favor of Terrebonne, I don't think that you'll see Charlie Brown's game plan change at all. He's still going to go in there with his basic runs, and if he gets in a jam, he'll throw a little play-action pass.
Charlie Brown, an interesting story on Charlie. There was a rumor going around that he was going to give up the game. There you see his record. Boy, what a story, a legend he is. The story was he was going to give up coaching, and he told the press when he got to New Orleans, wait a minute, high school teachers don't retire. They simply find other jobs. Handoff is to Wendell Jones, and he's buried behind the line back at the 42. Johnny Carter made the tackle. A loss of 3, and there's no question that that is a blue-chip performer that everybody wants.
Well, that's the man we talked about pregame, and here you see him coming through the line, and he made the tackle by himself, or would have been able to, except C.O. Brown decided he wanted to get half of it. And you know where Johnny Carter's going to go after the ball game?
Yes.
After the disco.
Gave us a little Mark Gastineau that time. A little sack exchange act. Hines is looking now at a 2nd down and 11. They mark the ball back at the 47-yard line. Hines looks for Oliver Lawrence and has got him. First down, Neville inside the 41-yard line. They'll mark it at the 40. Oliver Lawrence. The tackle was made by Troy Babbitt.
This is play action. He's faking that sweep that we've seen him run several times, and he's bringing the tight end back across the grain. He throws a perfect strike in there to his big junior tight end, who bulls his way for the first down.
As a matter of fact, Oliver Lawrence, along with Russell Davis, may be the 2 premier players that the scouts are looking at, but down the road. They've got another year of high school remaining.
You're so right, Jim.
You got a good look of that big one. Oliver Lawrence. The handoff is taken by Joseph Hopkins, and he stopped at about the line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd down and 10. Pardon me, Darren McDuffie gets the call. That's McDuffie, stopped by David Foray, 238-pound senior. It's second down and 9 yards to go.
470 yards a game total offense for the Neville Tigers.
You could see on that graphic how dominant the rush was compared to the pass.
Jerry Foy showed some resiliency that time as he got into that defensive perimeter for the first down, making the tackle with Skip Crabtree.
Jerry Foy is another one of the fine stable of running backs that Neville has. He blasts up in there off the simple guard trap, pulls his way for a first down. Neville seems to have it in gear now, Tim. They seem to be really rolling.
There's a look at Courtney Wallace, 6'1", 225-pounder. An awesome figure, and he's only a junior. Being taped up. Apparently he was hurt in that last defensive series. And that does it for the first quarter, and some might be surprised. Others down in Houma may be saying, wait a minute, we said all along that this one was going to go right down to the wire. We've got a timeout. The end of one quarter. The Louisiana Championship football continues. Our score, Terrebonne 7 and Neville nothing. The second quarter is about to get underway. We're happy that you're with us along the SPI network all through the state of Louisiana as we present for the first time a state Quad A championship game on television throughout the entire state. Conroy Hines at quarterback for Neville, and the juggernaut is underway. That is Joseph Hopkins. He nearly got the first down before being hit to the turf by Brent Stewart, the junior right side linebacker, 5'9", 196-pounder. Already we've seen Charlie Brown use at least 6 that I've counted running backs, and all of them have gotten appreciable yardage.
There are actually 9 running backs that play for Neville that have gained over 100 yards this season.
They'll keep us busy, I'll tell you that. It's second down and just short of 2 yards to go for a first down. And the give is to McDuffie. Darren McDuffie to the 10. The tackle was made by Kim Kinney, the junior. Let's take a look.
We definitely say that this plan, this particular play is a very important part of their game plan because we've seen it several times already. It's the same sweep pulling both guards off the buck action of the fullback, and they're exploiting it.
Mickey Slaughter, the voice you just heard, former Denver Bronco coach with Maxie Lambright during the glory years at Louisiana Tech, and Doug Morrow, All-American at LSU, for their expert analytical job tonight. The handoff goes inside to McDuffie again. Darren McDuffie, he's got 2. The tackle made by Brent Stewart again, who's been all over the place for Kelly Pugh's ball club.
And then let's give some credit to those guards for Neville who are pulling just about every play. Anthony Marshall and Alan Jones, they're pulling out of that line and leading those plays both right and left. And they've cleared the path for those ball carriers, for the 9 ball carriers, Mickey, that have gained over 100 yards this season for the Tigers.
You're so right, Doug. Things are going to get a little stickier now that they're down inside the 10-yard line. They'll get all those big guys bunched up, particularly the big Carter guy, and they're going to have to do a little something different, I think, to get in.
We'll be back with more. Back at the Superdome, Tim Brando along with Mickey Slaughter and Doug Morrow. Our score is 7-0. Terrebonne with the lead. They got it on a magnificent run of in excess of 60 yards by their fine running back, Tyrone Walls. And this drive for Neville got underway at their 47. They're now inside the Terrebonne 10. It's second down and at 6 yards to go. McDuffie gets it down to the 5. And making the tackle was 4A along with Brent Stewart.
Neville came out in a dead T formation, double tight end with 3 backs in. And they ran a sweep to the right side with the fullback and the onside back to that side leading. Base blocking up front.
There you see the first quarter statistics showing you total offense, and Terrebonne going toe-to-toe with the Tigers from Neville.
Most of that toe was all on one big toe, though, that long run by Walls.
Up front, Parrish, Marshall, Jones, Wallace, and Huff. They're in front of their quarterback, Hines, and he didn't like what he saw in his backfield. And before he got a chance to call the timeout, the marker flew, so we should have too much time called against the Tigers. Unless we had an inadvertent flag, and I don't think we did.
You certainly didn't have an inadvertent flag, and that's a mistake that you very rarely see a Charlie Brown coach team make, particularly when they're down in scoring position.
Well, Mickey, you know, they were in the I formation again that time, and you mentioned they haven't run it earlier this year. They were in the I, and apparently Conroy Hines wanted to get them in the power I, which is not their basic offensive formation, and they had some problem getting his running backs where he wanted to be. Joseph Hopkins wasn't sure exactly where he was supposed to line up. He is there now, though.
3rd down and 8 with the ball at the 12. McDuffie. He was nailed by Jim Hollingsworth. Big number 87. I say big. He goes 5'11", 170 pounds, but he hit with thunder that time.
He looked big that time. Here you're going to see a handoff to the I-back. I-back had nowhere to go. If Hollingsworth had not gotten him, everyone else would have. You saw Johnny Carter coming up there, but Johnny Carter was 4th in on the play.
Charlie Brown rarely in the past had an extra point kicker. Now he's got one of those, but he doesn't try field goals unless they're chip shots. It's 4th down, 9 yards to go, 12 yards for the touchdown. They can get the 1st down without the touchdown. A little play action. Incomplete, intended for Lawrence, and Terrebonne obviously was a little mixed up in their perimeter because he was open by 3 yards. The pass simply overthrown.
And he wasn't the only one open. David King was open also in the back of the end zone. Here you're going to see the fake reverse. Hines comes back. He throws the ball to Lawrence, and look at David King in the back of the end zone right behind Lawrence. Both of them open. Both of them wide open, but the ball pretty badly overthrown. A sure touchdown if he had gotten it anywhere near either one of those two.
And Conroy Hines has been an inspirational leader. They say when he's gotten down, he's always been able to pick himself and his team back up. Time will tell. 8:58 to go in the 2nd quarter. Terrebonne with the lead and with the football. David Ray gets the call, and Neville is there to answer in the form of Anthony Marshall, who's been everywhere here in the early going.
Coach Kelly Pugh says that Kerry Guidry checks off at the line of scrimmage a good bit. And that time it looked like he was changing the play at the line of scrimmage, but I don't think that's what he wanted it to end up as. He better stay with what he called in the huddle if he can't change it to anything better than that, huh?
You know, Kelly Pugh, there's a look at David Ray. What a rusher he's been. He, too, averaging 6 yards per carry. All you need to do if you're Kerry Guidry is hand to Ray or Walls. Statistically, in the past, they've been able to get the job done. Pugh went to the Veer 3 years ago. He's had a winning team ever since then. This time it's David Ray and nothing doing. There to provide the coverage, Chris Southern, senior, 5'10", 168-pounder, from his free safety position. Defensively for Neville, let's set them. Courtney Wallace, Brian Huff, Anthony Marshall, and Oliver Lawrence. They're the interior alignment. The linebackers are Russell Davis and David King. Wendell Jones, Jerry Foy, Joseph Hopkins, Chris Southern, and Darren McDuffie are in the perimeter. It's 3rd down and 9 yards to go. 2nd down and 9. Pardon me, that is 3rd down. 3rd down, 9 yards to go. Setbacks are split, and the hand is to Ray, and we've got a marker down and McDuffie down. The initial hit was made by Duncan, who came up, Brett Duncan. A penalty apparently against Terrebonne.
That'll be an illegal motion, a penalty, Tim, and I'm sure that Neville will decline it and force Terrebonne to punt.
That's Chris Southern, the defensive team captain, along with Oliver Lawrence talking it over. These officials do a great job. They've been doing a great job all year.
Illegal motion on the offense is declined, 4th down.
And right on cue.
Right on
He
cue.
knew I was talking about it.
When he heard you say, great job, he said, there's my only chance. Let me talk now.
Kerry Guidry will now be called upon to punt. And this is a great opportunity for Maurice Nelson here because he should have some room with which to run.
Maurice Nelson should catch this ball. If he'll catch it, he should catch this ball in a very good position on the field with an opportunity to make a big play here for Neville. And they need a big play from their special team.
He's got plenty of room. And he gets a dandy block. But the gap closed quickly. He was knocked down by David Ray inside the 40 at the 38. So again, great field position for Neville, and they've had it all evening long. Let's take a look at it from Kerry Guidry's vantage point.
That's the first good snap Kerry Guidry has had, and he got off a much better kick than he had the 2 earlier occasions. But Neville was going for the block, so they didn't have anybody back downfield to block on the punt return. Despite that, Maurice Nelson ran it back for in excess of 10 yards to put them at the 38, first down.
Now the Tigers, I'm sure, are saying to themselves, sooner or later we've got to cash in. 1st and 10. Hines off the play action. He goes for all of it. Oliver Lawrence just a stone's throw away from 6. Crabtree was in single coverage for Terrebonne.
He put his backs in the I formation once again. He fakes the belly play off tackle and drops back, and he's got big Oliver Lawrence going to the corner of the field, and he's running pretty clean. The ball is just slightly overthrown.
Now, how would you like to be little Skip Crabtree trying to cover big Oliver Lawrence out there, particularly when he's about a step and a half behind you and you have your back to the ball and have no idea where it is?
Must be an awful lonely feeling.
He knows how big this place is, I know.
There you see the Neville Tigers ranked 7th nationally by USA Today. It's 2nd down and 10. The delay to Davis. 1st down, Neville. He's inside the 30 to the 25. Brad Culp made the tackle for Terrebonne.
That was beautiful execution of the draw. They're blocking it straight man on man, and actually it's a lead draw with number 20, Jerry Johnson, leading up in there, and Russell Davis following him. Big 1st down for Neville.
They send a couple of wide receivers split wide to the top of your screen. There you see Russell Davis. They are King and Joseph Hopkins. He's the split back. The crossing pattern is caught by Lawrence. 1st and goal, Neville. Brent Stewart and Kim Kenny were there to evade in the tackle.
This was actually an unbalanced formation. They put the tight end to the right side and 2 slot men outside of him. Ran the quick play action with the tight end on a quick curl or a quick banana route and hit him. They're down in there now in scoring position.
A quick banana route. I like that. Oliver Lawrence apparently shaken up a bit coming off the field. In for him is Wendell Jones. The straight T formation we see behind Conroy Hines. And that Russell Davis has got it to about the 3-yard line. Brent Stewart made the tackle. I guess if you're Neville right now, you're going to go to your bread and butter, and that's Russell Davis. He's been able to get the points when you need him. He's the leading scorer on the ball club. Obviously, that's the guy that gets the potato.
You're going to go to the big guy who can make a hole when there isn't any hole, and that's exactly what he did right there. Ran over the first tackler. Got it down in there now on the 4-yard line.
Howard Redmond led the charge for Terrebonne. Foray and Carter are to his flank in that defensive interior alignment. Joseph Hopkins is sacked behind the line by Jeff Williams, the right defensive end, but he's more like a linebacker. Troy Babin made the tackle also. The 2 of them combined for the stop, and it's 3rd and goal with a ball at the 7. And Neville again still knocking but not opening that door.
And Troy Babin is a big play man. He comes up consistently, makes big plays in the backfield, and that time a key play because Neville took it downfield. They've taken it every time they've had the ball, Tim, pretty methodically and run over Terrebonne, but once they've gotten down around the 10-yard line, they're having a difficult time moving it any further.
Hopkins is set to the top of your screen. It's 3rd down, and it's Hopkins that was the intended receiver, and it was intercepted by Skip Crabtree. It's a touchback, and once again, Neville is turned away.
And they took advantage of Skip Crabtree a couple of times in that drive. The first time on the long pass, and then earlier he got blocked downfield. But here you see him redeeming himself. He's hiding in the end zone, waiting for the ball to be thrown, and then he makes a good aggressive move in front of the receiver. The receiver really was not very open, Joseph Hopkins, but he was open enough had Crabtree not been aggressive on the interception.
1st down, 10, Terrebonne at their 20. They've been dodging bullets throughout the first 20 minutes. We've got 4:40 left to go in the 2nd quarter. Kerry Guidry on the quarterback draw, or sneak if you prefer. He has about 3 yards. There to make the tackle was Anthony Marshall along with David King. Pick up a 3 at 2nd down and 7 yards to go. That's a play, Doug, that a week ago against Captain Shreve, they had great success with on the Terrebonne side of the ledger.
You'll find that he checks into that play if he finds that the offensive line is playing a front where there's not a man over the center, and if the linebackers are not head up, or at least one linebacker is not over the center, if he can go ahead and make 3 or 4 yards and take the chance of breaking a tackle and picking up more, he'll do that quite often.
Setbacks are split. Guidry lets it fly deep, and it's intercepted. Joseph Hopkins with the interception. So the pendulum swings the other way as Hopkins comes right back to take it away from Danny Castell, the intended receiver. And we've got a timeout on the field from the Superdome. The Louisiana Championship football from the Dome will continue with the score: Terrebonne 7, Neville nothing.
You're going to see Kerry Guidry coming up a little bit short on his pass to Castell. He's taking the ball, no fake. He slants back to his left, and Castell was a little bit behind the defensive man. However, the ball was thrown too short, and Joseph Hopkins takes his opportunity to make up for the interception just several plays ago. You know, Tim, interesting thing, Terrebonne has only run that triple option pitch one time in this ball game for a touchdown. They continue to run the handoff and the pitch sweeps, but they have not run the quarterback option since that play.
Well, Neville has had their opportunities. There's not much doubt about that. Hines will throw. He takes his secondary receiver, Lawrence, incomplete along the sideline. Brent Stewart was providing coverage. That's a tall order. That linebacker taking Lawrence in single coverage. And Neville is not going true to form here because they're throwing the ball a great deal, and they're throwing it on 1st down, Mickey.
I think that says a great deal for the Terrebonne defense. We haven't seen Neville throw the ball much at all this year, much less on 1st down. Here they are now in very good field position on 1st down. They come out with play action pass.
Charlie Kingery is in the ball game. He's in a slot right at the top of your screen, and Maurice Nelson is in at quarterback. He runs the option nearly all the way. Maurice Nelson finally run out of bounds by Kim Kinney, and Charlie snuck him in, and then he sneaked downfield about 40 yards.
Charlie Brown, the old fox, he stuck his return specialist in there, who is actually the 2nd string quarterback. He comes with the fakes, bootlegs it around the right side, and there he goes. Great speed, Maurice Nelson.
Nelson broke a punt return of 66 yards earlier this year. He's averaged just over 20 yards per punt return. And you got a good example of what he can do from the option situation at quarterback. It was a 40-yard run. 1st and goal. Davis inside the 5 to about the 4 before he's thrown back by Foray and Redmond. There again is Maurice Nelson.
Maurice Nelson is also just a junior, so everyone should be expecting great things from him in the future.
This is predominantly a junior ball club that Charlie Brown's got at Neville.
You're so right, Tim.
Conroy Hines looking at a 2nd and goal with the ball now at the 4. Nelson had gotten it down to the 7.